The Calm Before the Storm. Date: April 14, 1945. Time: 5:47 a.m. Location: a mist-shrouded valley near the outskirts of a small Silesian village, Eastern Europe. The pre-dawn air was thick with fog, clinging to the jagged ridges of the valley like a living thing. Dew hung heavy on the blades of grass, and the faint crunch of earth under booted feet echoed through the stillness. You feel it even from the other side of the world, the tension of men waiting, machines poised to strike. Somewhere in the shadows, a Jag Panther rumbles softly, its diesel engine barely a whisper in the cold air. Smoke from a distant village drifts upward, tinged pink by the rising sun. German radio chatter crackles intermittently, a calm, measured cadence that belies the dread threading every soldier's thoughts. The 12th Panzer Division, elite among elites, has taken positions along the valley floor. Command vehicles park strategically near a broken bridge, officers sipping bitter coffee, unaware that everything they've built, trained for, and relied upon is about to evaporate in minutes. From a ridge to the northeast, Allied reconnaissance planes hum overhead. They are unseen, silent observers capturing every ridge, bend, and forest clearing. And there, in the shadows, a single operator waits, scope fixed on the valley, pulse syncing with the mechanical heartbeat of the world's deadliest tanks. This is no ordinary sniper. This is a mind sharpened by years of discipline, aided by technology the Panzer crews could neither see nor comprehend. You hear the distant low growl of engines waking from sleep. Panzer IVs begin rolling forward, their steel treads grinding against the dirt, each one a promise of annihilation. Their commanders, confident, discuss flanks, artillery coordination, and supply routes. A truck clatters over a broken plank. A radio operator murmurs coordinates, his voice steady. No one notices the small glint on the ridge above, a sniper's scope, catching the first rays of sunlight, reflecting the world back in a tiny lens of fatal precision. The fog begins to lift, revealing the valley in its full, deceptive tranquility. From here it looks like a rehearsal, troops lining up for maneuvers, armor gleaming, crews joking quietly. Yet, 1,000 eyes are focused on a single point, a command vehicle at the center of the formation, a symbol of coordination and dominance. Its destruction will cascade through the division, turning discipline into chaos. Inside the command vehicle, Major Klaus Richter adjusts his binoculars, scanning distant hills. He chuckles softly at a joke his lieutenant makes, unaware that a perfectly aligned sight is tracking him, measuring, calculating wind drift, humidity, barrel rise, and distance. The rifle is loaded, a monstrous piece of engineering resting on bipod legs, a single operator behind it controlling the fate of thousands. And then, the first rays of sun strike the valley floor. Everything changes. A subtle shift in the air. A pause in the morning symphony of engines and voices. The operator exhales, aligning crosshairs on the target. You can almost hear it, the universe holding its breath. A single shot. From 20 kilometers away. It whistles through the fog, unseen yet inevitable. And when it lands, it will set off a chain reaction unlike anything the war has yet witnessed. The first strike. The crack of the rifle is almost surreal, less a sound than a violent punctuation against the quiet morning. Somewhere in the valley, the command vehicle shudders violently. Glass shatters, metal buckles, and a plume of smoke rises like a black scream into the sun-drenched mist. Inside, Major Klaus Richter barely has time to react. One heartbeat later, the driver slams on the brakes, sending the vehicle skidding, wheels churning mud and debris into the crisp air. Officers tumble from seats, shouts slicing through the fog. You can see it, the initial shock, a ripple of disbelief spreading through the division. Panzer crews freeze mid-command, radio operators fumbling with dials. Machines designed to dominate are suddenly deafened, blind to the source of destruction. And then the second effect hits. The armored column stalls, its formations shattered, tanks pressed against each other, treads locked in panic. The chain of precision that has made this elite force legendary is undone by one impossibly calculated shot. From the ridge, the operator observes every motion through the scope. A flick of the wrist, a subtle adjustment for wind, a breath held too long. Each Panzer tank's turret now shifts nervously, crews peering in every direction, searching for a phantom enemy. They cannot see what has struck them. The weapon that fired is miles away, hidden by forests and undulating hills. But its consequences are undeniable. Suddenly, artillery begins to fire indiscriminately. Nervous officers mistake the chaos for enemy counterattacks, issuing hasty orders. Panzer IVs and Panthers spin their turrets toward imagined targets. Trucks laden with ammunition stall, engines choking on the tension. Smoke curls from ruptured fuel lines. What had been a symbol of German invincibility, discipline, coordination, armored terror, is unraveling faster than anyone could have predicted. Down the valley, a Jag Panther attempts to maneuver, its driver trying to maintain cohesion. But a destroyed bridge halts their path. Engineers leap from the vehicle, shouting, gesturing frantically, while shells ricochet from distant artillery, spraying sparks across the cobbled road. The operator adjusts the scope, watching each micro-movement, calculating angles, distance, and timing. Every second is magnified. Every action is being orchestrated like a grim symphony of destruction. In the command vehicle, Richter tries to regain control, barking orders into the radio, but the lines are dead. Communication is fragmented, crews isolated, their once coordinated precision collapsing under the weight of confusion. Smoke and fire now dominate the valley floor, shrouding the remaining tanks in a gray haze. Men duck, weapons raised, scanning blindly for a threat they cannot see. And then it begins, the first domino falls. A fuel truck erupts violently, flames licking the sides of nearby tanks. Shrapnel tears through armor plating, setting off secondary explosions. The once feared Panzer division, which had crushed enemy formations without hesitation, now fights itself, struggling to survive in the chaos. From 20 kilometers, the operator watches, detached but acutely aware of the moment's gravity. A single shot has already rewritten the rules of engagement. The elite, the invincible, the terrifying Panzer column is no longer a machine of war. It is vulnerable, human, fallible. And the worst is yet to come. Chaos unleashed. The valley has transformed. Morning mist is now a swirling haze of smoke and dust. Fires erupt across the column, black smoke spiraling into the sky, obscuring the rising sun. Screams mingle with the metallic groans of twisted steel. Tanks that were once a symbol of perfection lie immobilized, tracks torn, turrets jammed. Panzer crews scramble like ants on a shattered anthill, orders ignored, radios dead, eyes wild with fear. Major Richter's voice pierces the fog, but his men cannot hear him over the clatter of destruction. Around him, officers argue, pointing in every direction, uncertain which is front and which is rear. Hesitation is fatal. The division's meticulous chain of command, the lifeblood of its battlefield supremacy, is now a tangle of confusion. And all of it stems from one impossible strike. A Jag Panther, crippled by debris, belches smoke as it attempts to reverse. Its gunner swivels, firing blindly at shadows. Shells explode against the valley walls, sending showers of stone and earth across trembling soldiers. You can feel the fear in every man's movements. Hands shake, knees buckle, breath comes in ragged bursts. Training, confidence, and discipline are meaningless when you cannot identify the enemy. From the ridge, the operator watches every unfolding disaster. The scope frames the valley like a theater of war. A command vehicle erupts in flames, igniting nearby fuel caches. The ensuing explosions cascade down the line, a chain reaction of destruction. Ammunition ignites, sending deadly shrapnel into armored plates, piercing engines and crew compartments. Each blast amplifies panic, spreading like wildfire through the division. The Germans attempt countermeasures. Tanks reposition, infantry advances to shield immobilized vehicles, radio signals flicker as desperate officers try to restore coordination. But the precision required for such maneuvers is gone. Every movement is reactive, erratic, almost instinctive. Units collide, crushing men and machines alike. Tanks block roads, immobilizing reinforcements. Supply lines are shattered. Chaos is total. Above it all, the valley becomes a living nightmare. Smoke curls, fire glows, and the metallic tang of blood and fuel permeates the air. The once feared Panzer division, elite, disciplined, invincible, is now disjointed, flailing against an invisible enemy that has already claimed victory. In mere minutes, hundreds of soldiers are forced into frantic improvisation. Some retreat. Some surrender. Some fight futilely, unaware of the strategy that has already undone them. And yet, despite the chaos, one constant remains, the operator on the ridge. Calm, precise, calculating every second, every movement, every misstep. A single human mind, armed with skill and technology, is dictating the outcome of a battle once thought unwinnable. The valley is alive with destruction, and the Panzer division teeters on the brink of annihilation. Every tank immobilized, every command structure destroyed, every soldier terrified. The consequences of one extraordinary shot are now fully visible. And the most lethal moment of the morning is still approaching. The valley burns. Smoke now blankets the valley like a living shroud. The sun, once gentle and golden, fights through a haze of fire and ash, casting flickering shadows across twisted metal and scattered bodies. The Panzer Division, once a cohesive instrument of armored terror, is fractured, directionless, and burning. Tanks lie overturned, wheels melted, engines smoking. Infantry stumbles over debris, bullets whizzing through the air, every second a gamble between survival and death. Supply lines, the veins of the division, are obliterated. Ammunition trucks lie ruptured, fuel igniting in massive infernos, sending fireballs and shrapnel into the sky. The once precise timing of the Panzer strike force is now irrelevant. Each crew acts independently, often against their own comrades. The valley reverberates with the sound of mechanical collapse. Treads snapping, turrets crashing, radios exploding in sparks. Officers bark orders, but their voices vanish into the chaos. Major Richter attempts to regroup his men, dragging the injured to cover, eyes scanning frantically for a semblance of coordination. Every movement is countered by destruction. Every command met with confusion. Panic is now contagious. Soldiers abandon positions, retreating blindly into burning vehicles or the forest beyond, only to encounter artillery fire or hidden obstacles. From above, the operator remains calm, scope trained on the epicenter of chaos. One shot, 20 kilometers away, has set off a chain reaction that will decide the fate of hundreds. Precision, patience, and perfect timing. The rifle operator's calculations are coming to fruition with terrifying efficiency. Each secondary explosion, each collapsing vehicle, each panicked movement reinforces the inevitability of the division's collapse. In the midst of this inferno, a Panther tank attempts a desperate maneuver to regain position. Its turret swings, firing blindly into the smoke, but it is too late. Flames creep along its armor from ruptured fuel lines, and within moments it becomes another immobile monument to devastation. The valley floor now resembles a graveyard of steel and fire. Even amidst the chaos, human emotion is raw and palpable. Soldiers scream, cry, and fight with feral determination, trying to regain control of a situation that has already escaped all rationality. Some hurl grenades in desperation, others collapse under the weight of smoke and fear. Officers frantically scan the horizon, unable to comprehend the impossible destruction wrought by a single, calculated strike. The valley burns, the Panzer Division teeters on the edge of complete annihilation, and the operator on the ridge watches it all unfold with relentless precision. One shot has rewritten the rules of warfare. One shot has turned invincibility into vulnerability. One shot will be remembered for decades as proof that even the mightiest force can fall with a single decisive act. And yet, even now, a glimmer of counterattack stirs in the panicked remnants, a desperate effort that could either salvage the division or accelerate its doom. Desperate counterattack. Amid the smoke and ruin, a handful of tanks and surviving crews scramble to form a semblance of order. Major Richter, bloodied but unbroken, signals for a concentrated push. Engines roar to life, treads churn mud and debris, and the surviving infantry clambers over scorched wreckage. Hope, fragile but fierce, surges through these remnants. They are elite soldiers, trained to overcome adversity, yet the valley around them has become an unpredictable death trap. The Jag Panther crews fire into the haze, attempting to suppress imagined threats. Flamethrowers ignite nearby brush, trying to create cover, while artillery begins stuttering back into action. Smoke, fire, and the acrid scent of burnt fuel mix with gunpowder, creating a suffocating fog that seems to resist movement itself. Every command is shouted, repeated, shouted again, yet coordination remains impossible. From the ridge, the operator adjusts the scope, calculating wind, trajectory, and distance. The counterattack is predictable, stubborn, human, inevitable. He watches the tanks lurch forward, knowing that even the most skillful maneuver cannot escape the valley's deadly geometry. Every movement is exposed, every formation vulnerable. The operator's single rifle, one shot after another, will dismantle the desperate advance piece by piece. Inside the command vehicle, Richter roars orders into the radio, demanding suppression of the ridge. Smoke grenades fire, tracer rounds streak the air, but they cannot reach the unseen sniper. Men crane their heads, eyes searching for the source of their unraveling world. But nothing. Only a silent ridge, a perfect vantage point, and a calculated predator controlling the flow of chaos. The first tank of the counterattack lurches forward, only to be struck mid-motion. Flames engulf the engine, and the crew scrambles in vain. Panic spreads instantly. The second and third tanks collide, their treads entangled, guns pointed wildly. Infantry trying to shield them are cut down by exploding shrapnel. Within seconds, the carefully coordinated counterattack dissolves into a frenzy of fear and survival. Every second brings a new horror. Ammunition caches detonate, vehicles spin out of control, soldiers dive for cover or flee into the misty forest, some never to be seen again. Major Richter, now standing atop a ruined truck, watches helplessly as his elite forces are shredded. Orders mean nothing when machines fail, terrain betrays, and every calculated move has already been anticipated. The operator remains calm, breathing measured, adjusting sights, tracking each motion. From 20 kilometers away he is omnipresent yet invisible. Every desperate push by the division, every feeble attempt to regroup, every calculated counterattack is folded into the sniper's relentless calculus. One shot has become two, then three, each precise, each lethal, each unraveling the illusion of Panzer invincibility. And just as it seems the division might stabilize, the valley itself seems to conspire against them. A firestorm begins to consume the remaining fuel trucks, and a collapsing ridge sends boulders tumbling toward the surviving vehicles. The desperate counterattack is doomed before it even fully begins. The collapse. By midday the valley is unrecognizable. Flames devour what little remained of the elite Panzer division. Twisted hulks of tanks and half-buried trucks litter the landscape, smoke curling into the sunless sky like the fingers of death itself. Every formation has broken. Every line of command has dissolved. Chaos reigns, absolute and unrelenting. Major Klaus Richter staggers over scorched earth, surveying the devastation. His once mighty force, veteran crews, elite officers and armored titans of war, is now a fragmented, terrified handful of men. Radios lie melted, engines stilled, weapons jammed or destroyed. Survival alone is the only order. In the distance, the faint sound of artillery continues, but it is irrelevant. The division is already defeated by precision, not by brute force. The operator watches through the scope as another command vehicle explodes, its blast sending armored personnel hurling through the air. Infantry scatter, some diving into burning wrecks, others sprinting blindly into the misty forests, where fate may offer mercy, or death. The rhythm of destruction is methodical, almost surgical. One shot 20 kilometers away has rewritten the battlefield. One human mind, one rifle, has dismantled the pride of the Wehrmacht. Some surviving Panzer crews attempt retreat, maneuvering through narrow forest paths, engines coughing in protest. But supply lines are gone. Fuel is scarce. Ammunition almost non-existent. The valley has become a tomb, each move fraught with danger, each breath weighted with the memory of explosions and screams. Coordination is a memory. Discipline is a lie. The elite division is no longer a force. It is a shadow of chaos, struggling for existence. Even amidst the wreckage, small acts of human bravery emerge. Soldiers drag comrades from burning vehicles. Officers shout frantic commands, trying to salvage order from the impossible. Yet, for every moment of courage, the operator's rifle responds. A well-aimed shot topples a tank turret. A single shell ignites a hidden fuel depot. The collapse is total and unavoidable. The valley floor becomes a mosaic of fire, metal, and shattered human will. Every Panzer, once the apex of battlefield dominance, lies scarred or destroyed. The division, famed for its speed, precision, and terrifying reputation, has ceased to exist as a cohesive force. And still, the operator remains unseen, untouchable, the silent orchestrator of one of the most astonishing feats in modern warfare. And in the midst of this devastation, a single thought haunts the survivors. If one shot could do this, what else is possible? Aftermath and reckoning. Silence descends over the valley, heavy and suffocating. Smoke still curls from wrecked tanks, black ribbons twisting toward a sun now hidden behind clouds of ash. The once pristine battlefield of German engineering and discipline is now littered with debris, mangled metal, and the hushed groans of the survivors. Every step through the valley is a negotiation with death itself. Major Klaus Richter stands among the ruins, his uniform scorched, hands blackened with soot and blood. He surveys the wreckage, command vehicles obliterated, artillery pieces toppled, Panthers and Jagdpanthers immobile like fallen giants. The elite division that inspired fear across Europe is now a collection of shattered crews clinging to survival. Officers attempt to rally their men, but morale is fractured beyond repair. Confusion, grief, and rage intertwine, a bitter cocktail that no order can cure. Word spreads quickly, both among survivors and across enemy lines, of the seemingly impossible feat that destroyed the division. Soldiers whisper of the invisible sniper, the one shot fired from 20 kilometers away that toppled the mightiest Panzer force of the Reich. In camps and command posts, German officers scratch their heads in disbelief. How could a single strike, executed with such precision, undo months of preparation, years of training, and the elite's vaunted tactical superiority? Military historians would later call this the miracle of precision and terror, a moment that redefined modern warfare. The valley, once a proving ground for invincible armor, is now a monument to vulnerability. Even elite divisions, once considered untouchable, are reminded that strategy, foresight, and technological mastery can turn the tide in an instant. One shot did not merely destroy vehicles, it dismantled belief, morale, and reputation. Survivors attempt to retreat, carrying the wounded through charred forests and shattered roads. Their minds replay every explosion, every flash, every sound of destruction. Some freeze in disbelief, haunted by the inevitability of the devastation. Others rage, cursing unseen enemies, rail against fate, and cling to memories of a division that no longer exists. The operator on the ridge, having silently observed the annihilation, slips back into obscurity. For him, the mission is complete. The valley bears witness to one of the most extraordinary long-range kills in modern military history. One shot, 20 kilometers, an elite Panzer division annihilated, and the world of armored warfare will never be the same. And yet, the story is far from over. The consequences of this moment will ripple across the final months of the war, altering strategies, inspiring innovation, and haunting those who survived the destruction. Legacy of a single shot. Years later, military academies still dissect the valley of smoke and fire, studying maps, trajectories, and the sequence of events that destroyed the elite Panzer division. One shot, 20 kilometers away, remains a case study in precision, patience, and tactical genius. It is not luck, it is the terrifying mastery of foresight, technology, and human skill combined. Survivors recount the horror in hushed tones. Some describe the valley as a place frozen in time, where tanks lie like monuments to failure, where the air still tastes of fire and fear. Officers who lived through the annihilation speak of the psychological shock, the sudden collapse of invincibility, the brutal lesson that no force, no matter how elite, is untouchable. In their nightmares, the single shot echoes endlessly, a reminder of vulnerability and mortality. Across the world, commanders take notice. The impossibility of long-range precision strikes reshapes battlefield strategies. Armored divisions are no longer invincible. Reconnaissance and technological mastery are elevated to equal importance. The event becomes a turning point in modern warfare, a symbol that strategy and calculation can outweigh brute force, even against the most feared machines of war. Historians describe the operator's feat not just as a tactical victory but as a narrative of human ingenuity triumphing over mechanical might. One rifle, one shooter, one shot, yet the consequences ripple far beyond the valley, altering tactics, morale, and the psychology of soldiers on both sides. It is a stark reminder, even the most formidable warriors are subject to the precision of a single human mind. In the ruined valley, nature begins to reclaim what war has torn apart. Grass grows through cracked treads, smoke fades, and the once deafening roar of engines is replaced by the whisper of wind. The Panzer division exists now only in memory, in records, and in the lessons etched into the annals of military history. Its destruction is a permanent testament to one moment of extraordinary precision, and to the immutable truth of war. Everything can fall, sometimes by the smallest, most singular act. The story lingers, a haunting narrative of skill, courage, and devastation. One shot. 20 kilometers. An entire elite Panzer division annihilated. A single act that changed the face of battle forever.